Maybe you notice that you are quite in the head, meaning you are very much involved in the thinking, planning, judging. That's fine, but there's also the possibility to take that less serious. Get more into the felt sense in your body. Sometimes it is supportive to slide on the in-breath, the sense of dropping from the head into the body. How's your belly? And maybe with the out-breath you can soften a bit in the belly. The shoulders. There's nothing to do for you right now. Nothing you need to understand. So maybe you can put down the burden a little. And then also the face, particular the forehead, the eyebrows. If you can release some of the tension. Then when you notice that you are entangled in the stream of thinking and the mental images, without hurry and gently try to direct your curiosity back to your own energy, to your breath, to your hands, to the trunk of your body. Allow yourself to find a place of no pressure. Just a place of rest with what is. Sometimes you might notice that you want to push something away or you want to get something. With the out-breath you can release that grasping, as if you would open a fist. Relax the grasping for something else than this. As it is. noticing the aliveness in your body. And returning and resting. Thoughts continue to come and go, somewhat in the background. They are not important right now. See if you can find another way of being here, not stuck in your stories, but being in your body. And then if you are still agitated or tired, or maybe there's something difficult in your life which is present right now, maybe still we can appreciate the stillness which we share. Space is also here, peace is also here, surrounding you, pervading you. Then I invite you to feel the presence of a mentor in front of you. That could be also a few. I mentioned a few names: Buddha, Dalai Lama, Jesus, Tara, Amasopa. And this is like the morning sun after a cold night where you felt alone, where you were lost in darkness. And suddenly the sun rises, and you're just sitting in the sun, bathing in the warmth. Allow yourself to feel the care, the warmth, the joy, the freedom. from the toes to the top of your head. You're just bathing in heart-warmedness. You hear the laughter. You feel the loving gaze. There's even a beautiful scent in the air, the scent of compassion. You don't need to have a clear mental image. And if you get entangled into something else, you return to your body, to your breath. And you open to the presence of compassion, wisdom. And you bring yourself along. You can't hide anyhow. How would it be if the Dalai Lama, the Buddha, Jesus would look at you and you would feel their presence? You would feel their body. You feel their smile in your body, in your belly. And if there's something unresolved in your heart, you just hold it into that warmth. You just let big love shine upon it. And just sitting in that light makes you more than them. You become like them. The same way the morning sun can really warm up your body. In the same way the Dalai Lama can warm up your heart, your belly. Then your mentors, they dissolve into that warmth, into that light. It enters your body on the heart level, in your chest. And you become aware of the Buddha inside, the Dalai Lama inside, the Jesus inside, the Tara inside. At the center of your being, that pure place, the source of your care, of your joy, of your love. Could imagine that pure place as a Buddha or as a light. And your heart opens like a flower, and the warmth and the light from the Buddha inside spreads into your body. And then the warmth, the light, and the scent of love, of compassion, of your care spreads to the pores of your body. Into the room. And see if you can shift a bit from the miserable me, from the miserable I, to the Buddha I, to the Buddha me, to the best in you. Be the light. The light holding you, yielding you, healing you, and then spreading into all directions, into your life. Be the Buddha inside, the Tara inside. Then, at the end of our first meditation, I invite you to connect with a deeper intention, knowing that you're going to die. What is your longing? What is your yearning? What is the song you want to sing? The contribution you want to make? Why are you here? What is your life about? And what gives meaning to your life? And why do you hold back? What are you afraid of? What is unresolved in your heart and needs healing? And knowing that your own healing, your own growing, your own waking up will benefit the people around us, starting with your family, then it's obvious that we are here tonight not only for ourselves. And I would like to close with a verse from Shantideva. As long as space remains, as long as there are suffering, feeling, living beings, I too shall remain. In order to serve. Oh, I feel much better now. So amazing. I tell you, meditation helps. Also, reminding myself why I'm here. This makes such a big difference. Why I'm sitting here. It's like that's the best antidote towards any anxiety or any feeling of not being good enough. Just a simple intention to help, to want to help. It's makes a big difference. I remember a quote of Lama Yeshe which I read in one center just before when I was teaching. It was like 12 years ago or something. And I was so afraid, and then the quote says, as long as if you have a good intention, something good will come from it. And that sounded so true. Wow, yeah. So going back to that soft spot, to that original intention of wanting to be of benefit. And then you give your best. And that's good enough. So this weekend we will look at what is called the Lam-Rim. It's a Tibetan word for the gradual path, step-by-step path to awakening, the roadmap of the territory, particularly as it is presented in the Geluk tradition. So this is one of the four major Tibetan traditions. They have similar teachings in the other Tibetan Buddhist lineage also. It's called Lam-Dre in the Sakya tradition. It's Patrul Rinpoche's The Words of My Perfect Teacher in the Nyingma tradition, and then the Jewel Garland of Gampopa in the Kagyu tradition. So they have almost, it's not exact the same, but it's a bit the same roadmap. Maps are obviously useful, but there's also traps with maps. Today I was coming from Copenhagen with the train, and I was looking at my smartphone on the road map, where you can see where you are on this app from the train, Swedish train. So I was looking at the map and I could see where I am, and I looked at the map, and then I looked around, and then I thought, wow, this is really different. And then I saw someone sitting in front of me. He was also looking at the map, and then I thought, wow, for him it's completely different. He's using the same map, but the journey is completely different from him. For him, he has a completely different experience. He sees different things than me. So using the same map, but the journey, the experience of the journey is completely different. So a map is always simplified and generalized, and it does not contain the experiential side necessarily. And it's different for everyone. So I like this quite famous quote from Gregory Bateson, I think is his name. The map is not the territory. This is something to remember. The map is not the territory. The Buddhists say it in a different way. They say the finger to the moon, the finger pointing to the moon is not the moon. Yeah. So, but it can happen that when you confuse that, you get obsessed with the finger. And worst case scenario is when you become a fundamentalist, thinking that finger is the best one in the whole universe, and this is how it is. And then you miss the moon. You become so interested in the finger. So in the Lam-Rim teachings, that's the same. I mean, you can study and learn the whole map. You memorize it and read one book after another, and you actually don't start the journey. Then you become like a map expert, but you don't get on the train. Also, a map is like the map. A map. So a map simplifies. So you might oversee things which are not on the map. So you're so fascinated with the map, like looking at the smartphone and thinking, "Wow, this is really a great journey," But you are close to what is actually happening because it's not on the map. So why would you look? You not even know about it. So yeah. And for example, one of the topics which is very important for most of us, which you won't find in the Lam-Rim, is this really spread, this really spread kind of mental sickness of feeling unworthy or not feeling good enough, or a guilt-ridden, shame-ridden culture where we come from. So you won't find something about that on the traditional Lam-Rim map. And this is such an important theme for all of us. So some things need to be added. And also, the map we are looking at comes from a different culture, different time, and is made by man. Yeah, not by woman. So it's important. These teachings, they are very precious, and they are meant to liberate us and to make us more comfortable with ourselves and others. But when these traditional maps meet a neurotic Westerner, the opposite can happen. Because the perspective from which we look at the map, of course, forms what the map can offer us. And sometimes it connects right there with our sense of unworthiness or guilt, for example. Like when we look at the teachings on karma. So it is precious, But we have to be aware that there's traps, dangers using maps. We shouldn't confuse the map with the territory. And be be appreciative towards our own experience. There's another trap in this map stuff, that is expectations. So instead of honoring and being loyal to your experience and enjoying the insights you have, you compare yourself, or you have ideas what should happen. So you you take an ideal, a realization, an insight, and you have like a conceptual idea, and this idea might be idealistic, and then you constantly compare yourself instead of honoring and being loyal to your own experience. It's really frustrating to have some idealistic ideas, for example, about compassion, and then comparing yourself, the care you have, the generosity you have, which is already expressing itself in your life, and then you compare it with an ideal, and you will always feel you fall short. And then you don't appreciate the little baby steps we can do, and celebrating them, because it will mix with this sense of I'm not good enough, which most of us suffer from. So it's amazing how many people I meet who don't feel whose life does not become more free through the Lam-Rim, but the opposite. More guilt, more shame, more feeling of I'm not good enough. So still, there must be something in this for us, otherwise I wouldn't teach it. And certainly I have benefited from the structure of the Lam-Rim very much on my own journey. And I mean, I always only share things with people which were healing and liberating for myself. In the Tibetan tradition, there's two views on this process of awakening. One is the gradual view, the progressive path. This is what we are going to explore this weekend, the progressive path. So the progressive path says something, you're not there yet, you're suffering, and there's a path, and this path is time-tested. This is important. It's time-tested, and it worked for many people. And these are exactly the methods, the techniques, the insights you need to walk this path. So that's and then in the end there's something like enlightenment in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. There's enlightenment in the end. It's a big deal. I mean, in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, the enlightenment in the end. So the other view is the direct path view. So the direct path view says something like, You know, that you think that there is someone on the path and that there is a path and that there is a goal. That's the problem. Because it's here. It's already here. You just need to recognize it. This is already all empty. This is already all spirit. This is already oneness. This is not Buddhist talking, but anyway, I mentioned Jesus, so I can also borrow from other traditions. So the direct path is, no, like in this meditation we just did with the Buddha inside. So this came from a kind of gradual path thing. Yeah? So there's something and you can develop it. The direct path would say, no, just look there. The Buddha inside is already fully developed. He was never damaged. She was never damaged. You just need to look there and trust it. So for most practitioner on the Tibetan Buddhist path, the practice is a mixture of both, progressive and it's all here. There's a beautiful sentence in Lama Yeshe's book on Tantra where he says, "You have everything right now to be complete. You have everything right now to be at the end of seeking." The problem is it's too close, it's too simple. So let's make it a bit more complicated with the gradual path. Obviously the direct path has also its traps, yeah, because a genuine moment of awakening, a genuine moment of connecting with the Buddha inside, really trusting that, a genuine moment of freedom, that does not mean that your whole stuff is gone. There's still growing up to do. There's still healing to do. So there's a lot of assholes around who claim to be awakened. And they not even see it. So in my own path I was always dancing on these two marriages until they became one. So studying the Lam-Rim and in the evening listening to Eckhart Tolle. To balance out, yeah? So it's like you can, so you balance it out. When you get the teachings on the Lam-Rim, sometimes it becomes quite overwhelming because there's so much. And you don't know where to start, and you don't know where you are, and you don't have the patience, and you make so many mistakes. So that means you make your life actually a bit more dense, a bit more difficult through your practice. And also through genuine meditation practice, difficulties come up, inside difficulties. So then it's easy to give up. So then it's so nice to take a break from the gradual path and listen to Adyashanti or someone, you know, saying it's all fine. Dakshin Mahamudra, Essence Mahamudra, Lama Yeshe, yeah. You have everything. We are all. He says in the same chapter. He says, "Heaven is now. We are already gods and goddesses now." And then, yeah, that's true. Okay, so what's then, then kind of you continue the healing process, the purification process, but it's not that heavy anymore. It's not that serious anymore, because you also feel you're already there. Both at the same time. Suzuki Roshi puts it this way: you're all perfect. That's the direct path. So he says, you're all perfect, and there's room for improvement. That's the Lam-Rim. That's the progressive path. So, before the break, we have a short break soon. I talked a bit. That was not a good advertising for the gradual path, so I want to do some advertising for the gradual path. I came across these teachings first 95 in Tushita in Dharamsala. And before that I had already studied and practiced about 15 years in all different traditions. Also I had studied psychology, so I also approached it from this kind of the suffering thing. So I approached it from different angles. And then I went to this 10-day introduction course to the Lam-Rim. And it was so amazing for me, because all these years I had tried to kind of put things together. Like, I was like, I tried to make a system out of this. I mean, how does for example, the Theravada teaching of anger is the bad guy, to the tantric teaching, but anger is an incredible resource and it can be transformed. How can this come together? So are they talking about two different things, or are they contradictory? And so it was really confusing. And then I attended this course, and then I realized someone had already done it. Yeah, and it was so amazing to see the whole teachings of the Buddha outlined in a way that it all made sense. And suddenly I could see that the Hinayana Theravada teachings have their place, and that they are necessary and precious, and that they don't contradict the Mahayana and the Tantrayana teachings, but they are just describing different parts of the journey. Yeah? So it all fitted together. I was so excited. Yeah? It made the whole thing, it was just like all the things I have, because I had practiced in the Theravada, I had practiced in the Zen, Christian mysticism, and suddenly I had a kind of frame where I could put everything inside, and this is fantastic. So no matter what your tradition is, kind of maybe at one point you find your home in a certain Buddhist tradition. To have this logical, sequential outline is so helpful, and it prevents fundamentalism, disrespect towards any teachings of the Buddha, because you see where it fits. And you also see that different people at different times need different medicine. So someone, like if you go to a doctor, the doctor might say to one person, you need to eat more. And then the next person comes in and the doctor says, you need to eat less. And then if you write down the teachings of that doctor, then so what's this? I mean, one day he says that, one day he says this. Yeah? And the same is true for the teachings of the Buddha. And the Lam-Rim helps you to put it into the right place. So then there can be a real celebration and a real prostration to all the teachings of the Buddha, no matter if they are attractive to you or less attractive, or even some of the teachings they might be even harmful right now for you. But still you would appreciate why they are there and when are they given and where do they fit into the path. So this is what happens when I listen to Buddhist teachings. Yeah. So I listen to them and I can see, yes, okay, this belongs here. This is also useful if you don't follow a study program, but you you drop in maybe in different centers, and then and then this teacher is talking about that teacher is talking about this teacher is talking about something else, and it becomes like really confusing. But if you have a foundation in the Lam-Rim, you have kind of containers, you have places like inner shelves where you can put the different the different teachings. So these teachings within the Gelug tradition, obviously they go back to the Buddha and then to the Indian masters, particularly in Nalanda monastery in India, which was a great center of learning and study. And then there was one master Atisha, an Indian master, who came to Tibet for a few years. And so he brought these teachings to Tibet, and he wrote a little text called The Lamp on the Path to Enlightenment. And that's like kind of that's like the kind of where this specific roadmap was first described in the way we will look at it this weekend. Yeah, and then generations of more texts and practice and exploration, and then there came Lama Tsongkhapa, the founder of the Gelug tradition in the 14th century, kind of a reformator of Tibetan Buddhism, because there were a few things went wrong. And so he wrote this, his masterpiece, the Lam-Rim Shenmo. And then from the 14th century, these teachings were handed down, practice, people, men and women, found freedom from bondage through these teachings, through practice of the Lam-Rim. And then there was one teaching important now, for the way it is, this Lam-Rim teaching is transmitted within the FBNT, and that was in 1921 in Lhasa. There was a Lama called Pabongka Rinpoche who gave a commentary or a teaching on the Lam-Rim Shenmo, and something special happened because someone made notes. And they usually don't do that. I mean, the Tibetans don't sit there and write down, but somehow someone made notes. And that person was Trijang Rinpoche. And he became the main tutor of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And his notes, they were published in a book called The Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. So that's kind of together with Lama Tsongkhapa's book and Atisha's book. These are like some of the main texts you might want to study if you want to read traditional Lam-Rim literature. Yes, and then so I got these teachings first 95, and then and since then, since then actually, I mean, no matter what I do within my Buddhist practice and within my meditation practice, it's Lam-Rim. I mean, it's somewhere there. Yeah. Okay, so let's have 10 minutes break. So part of the Lam-Rim literature, the Lam-Rim teachings, they have a purpose of giving us an intellectual framework, an understanding. For us Westerners, it's not enough, well, that does not work for most of us, is to have the bhakti or the devotion to a teacher just so that you just do what he says or she says. So for us it's really important to have a certain intellectual understanding from where our suffering comes from, that there's a cause for suffering, and that actually freedom of suffering is possible, kind of to understand it intellectually, so that we can really wholeheartedly throw us into the practice. But the Lam-Rim is not just kind of intellectual information to contemplate and to reflect and to understand on, but with each topic there's certain meditations connected with. Because obviously it's one thing to understand that you're going to die, which is an important topic in the beginning of the Lam-Rim. The other thing is to kind of embody it, to feel it, to take it serious, to make it a life-changing insight. So we can think about, yeah, we have to die, and but then to really make it a felt experience, a lived experience, that's something else. And one method being used in the Lam-Rim teachings in the Geluk tradition is called analytical meditation. If you want to divide the different practices of meditation with into a simple model, then one possibility is to talk about stabilizing meditation, shamatha, which is kind of the basic meditation which many of us know. So we have an object like the breath and we cultivate our capacity to stay in contact. The other is insight meditation, vipassana. So that's where you look deeply into the experience, how it is right now, yeah, to kind of figure out what is there instead of being imprisoned in your own projections. So that's insight meditation. And the third category could be analytical meditation, which is using reasoning and mental images, so using the conceptual mind to lead you into certain states of mind or insights, and deeper than just an intellectual insight. So this kind of, and in the Lam-Rim you find these three meditations, so they are all important there, no? Shamatha, vipassana, and analytical meditation. But the analytical meditation, we will look at vipassana and shamatha later. The analytical meditation is a bit special because it's not so much practiced, even in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And other Buddhist traditions don't do it at all. So some people are a bit shocked sometimes when they attend a meditation retreat in the Lam-Rim tradition, and what they're being offered, they even feel it's not meditation. And we will experiment with that kind of meditation a little in this during this weekend. And as all meditations, one really needs to play with it and experiment. So it's not something you do it once and then that's it. It's actually an art. Like analytical meditation is an art, exactly like shamatha and vipassana is. So analytical meditation is use reasoning. So let's say, I'm not sure if we are going to do it tomorrow, but the death is an important first topic, one of the first topics within the Lam-Rim. So the way you do an analytical meditation is that you use certain reasonings, certain questions, and then you go through these reasonings. In the beginning you are guided, so this I will do, yeah, and then you take these reasonings and you kind of you allow insights and feelings, experiences on a body felt sense level to arise. And then you pause. Then you pause. So you kind of you soak in the aha. Yeah? You soak in the aha. So in the death meditation, that would be, there's this 9-point death meditation, the traditional way to guide you through this. So I would say, for example, we all have to die. We don't know when. Nothing can protect us. Yeah? So these are, so you kind of, you think, but you don't stay here. You kind of, you give yourself the space and the sense of what is actually being said here. Yeah. So you kind of, in a way, you bring it from the head into your belly, so that the knowing that you're going to die and you don't know when becomes really like something which is in your guts. Yeah. So it's like you. For example, right now it's easy to kind of miss the joy of aliveness. Yeah, so it's easy to miss that. I mean, we could just sit here and breathe and celebrate every breath because it's unique, it's special, it's like amazing. I mean, it's like breathing is amazing, but more even so is awareness of breathing. I mean, this is like observing consciousness, which is the most amazing thing. Yeah? And we are sitting here and complaining about the temperature or the light or I don't know. So, what I just did was a bit of an analytical meditation. Yeah? It was quick, yeah, but so I could see that some of you responded in what I said. I could have gone on long time, so some of you would have started to cry. Yeah? I mean, as a good sign that something moves you. You feel touched. Yeah? So let's imagine you were touched by what I just said. Yeah? So this is what you want to kind of trigger in an analytical meditation, this being touched, something is moved in your heart. You feel, wow, yeah, this moment is precious. I don't want to miss it. I want to be present. Wow, it sucks. I'm feeling horrible. But even that, I mean, this is amazing. I'm going to miss that. I mean, it's amazing that there is something and not nothing. So now I want to, just short, like 5-10 minutes, I want to go into another analytical meditation, which comes before the death realization, and that's meditation on the precious human life. So I will, say a few things, which are connected with the insight into that you have a precious that you have a precious life, that that you have an amazing opportunity, that you have amazing freedoms, that you can actually do something meaningful, very, very meaningful with your life, and that it is worth to be alive and use your life. So now, when I say these things, what I invite you to do is to just kind of feel into it. What does it do with me? So an analytical meditation is always an embodied meditation. And many people miss that. It's not like blah, 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 yeah? No, it's like an embodied. You are entering the meditation with your whole body. So that's difficult for some, because some people, they are really disconnected, or we are more or less all disconnected from the body. But for some people it's quite difficult to appreciate that aspect of analytical meditation. They try to figure it out intellectually, but intellectually will not change you. It's not going to change. So it has to go deeper. So now, one trap in analytical meditation is that since now we are exploring the precious human life, you have an idea of how it should feel. So like you feel now, oh, yeah, I think it's about feeling really grateful and feeling wonderful, and now I'm doing this meditation and I try to force this feeling out of it. So then an analytical meditation becomes a kind of violent meditation, forcing. This is very important. You can't force anything. You can't force your heart to be open. You can't force yourself to be grateful about life. You can't. Why? Because there's nobody in charge. We will look at that later. Yeah? But that's why. Otherwise it would be easy. Otherwise I would just say, if I think about my mind as many processes going on, I would just say, hey, gratefulness, come forward. Complain, you stay quiet. I can't do this because that control center does not exist. So it's a more delicate, it's a more gentle, it's a more creative process. You can bring forth mental processes you want to have, wholesome processes, and you can starve unhealthy processes by not feeding them, but you can't control them. So, when in an analytical meditation, something unexpected comes up, anger, for example, so I lead the meditation on the precious human life, and you get something like, this is bullshit, I feel horrible, my life is a mess, I don't hear precious human life. It's like, yeah. So that could be in response. Another not so good response. So the thing is, when that happens, you have to be loyal to your experience. And you have to learn from that. Because that's an insight. It's an insight. I mean, you need to be passionate about your inner life and what's going on in your processes. Also the unexpected ones. Also the political incorrect ones. So stay loyal to your experience and learn from that. Yeah? Another response to precious human life could be guilt. Yeah, I know I have a precious human life, but all the millions of people who starve or something like that, I'm not worth it. Who am I to have a precious human life? That would be the Swedish version. Who am I to have a precious human life? I'm nobody. Okay. So, of course, that's also an insight. Yeah. I mean, then you get to know something from your precious Swedish soul, yeah? So let's play with it, and whatever happens, happens, and is invited, and it's interesting. So let's take a few moments to reconnect. With the out breath, releasing, if possible, some of the tension, effort. And with the in-breath, noticing your body. How is it to be here for you right now? And the breath is coming and going. And then we can start right there with the breath. So I'm breathing, I'm alive. There's a lot of people around here, just if we go a few kilometers here in Stockholm, who would give everything to be able to just sit here and breathe. So stay with one breath. And this moment is unique. It's only you can feel this breath. I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm aware. Then we can add a few things which are happening right now. You can hear. Can you hear me? This is precious. All of you here can see this is very, very precious. You have no idea how you are going to miss it. Colors, movement, text, trees, animals, beautiful faces. You can see. Then we all walked here, I think. You're going to miss that, walking. Just walking on earth. Then, I mean, our mental state is challenging, but it's not that bad right now. Otherwise you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't have gotten out of bed today. So we can appreciate a kind of manageable mind. So you just allow these sentences and become aware of what is happening in your body. How does it make you feel? So you stay in connection with the breath and the body. And some of the sentences might touch you, some not. So you stay with those who move you somehow. I'm breathing, I'm alive. So then all of us here, we have water today. We have food today. And we have shelter today. Wow. You made it. Not only that, most likely you have water tomorrow. You have food tomorrow. You have shelter tomorrow. So on top of that, all of us here, we have some curiosity, we have some interest in spiritual teaching. That kind of flame inside of you, looking for more, looking for healing, looking for growth. This is very precious that you have that. Very precious. You hear a calling inside, in your heart. Something calls you home. And you listen to that. How wonderful. But not only you have this calling, also you can seek out places like this, evenings like this, or where the Tibetan tradition is preserved. You can just walk here, or take the tram, and here you are. Now you have the books. You can actually meet the Dalai Lama. And within a few clicks on our mobile phone, we have access to all the wisdom teachings from all traditions. This is amazing. It's almost impossible to end up here. And through these teachings you have the opportunity to make your life truly meaningful and die without regret. How precious, how fortunate you are. And you're not alone. There's people around you who do the same. So, stay connected with your breath. Have a sense of your body. And maybe something of what I said moved you. So you stay a bit with that. If other thoughts, other feelings come up, you give space and be loyal to that. breathing, I'm alive. I have resources. I have the teachings. And then lastly, I want to mention something, and that is you like people. Some of them at least. You have friends. You care. Even if it's only your dog. But you care. In this warm-heartedness you are capable of. This is so precious. The most precious. You are able to love, and you are able to receive love. How fortunate you are. So, this was kind of freestyle, but those of you who know the meditation on the precious human life have recognized some of the points. So initially it's useful to kind of study a bit the traditional outlines of these guided meditations, maybe listen to guided meditations, but then you do it yourself. It's also sometimes helpful to formulate them as questions. So maybe, I don't know if you found my way a bit invasive, yeah, kind of telling you what to think. But if you guide yourself, then so you can do it in your own way. So one way is to ask questions. So I could have asked, do you have water today? And then you would think, yeah, true, I have water today. And I have not appreciated so far today. I thought that's normal. It's just like I open the tap and there's water. But it's true, I have water today. And then at one point, after you have kind of familiarized yourself a bit with how it is presented, then you find your own reasonings, that what makes sense for you, that what touches you. So you become creative. You don't stick to the traditional outline, but you work with that. So imagine for 1 month. I'm not saying you should do it, because that's unrealistic, but imagine for 1 month, 10 minutes every day in the morning, you would sit down and remember 3 things of the precious human life. And you would just, maybe write it down, you would contemplate it a bit, you would allow yourself to be touched, and you would do that 1 month. Probably you can kind of sense, wow, that would maybe shift a bit my complaining mind, my poverty mind, or my mind of, I'm a failure or something like that. So then, no, the process, the mental process of saying that there's something wrong with you, that you're a big mess, that process is in case you have a tendency to think like that. It's a process which is established in you, and you have meditated upon it, and you have reflected on it, and you supported it with many reasonings, and you're looking around in your world to support it with many reasonings. So no wonder that it is automatic. So it's automatic. Yeah. So you don't need to put effort into it to think I'm not good enough. It's just happening because you are so good in meditation. Yeah. You just meditate on a I don't know, I wanted to say fucked up object, but it didn't. So, and that's why, and this process, it works automatic. You don't need to concentrate. This is also fucked up.